Hey there YouTube, welcome back to another video. If you'd watched my Q&A, I mentioned my small collection of Flames of War stuff. I've never actually shown any of this stuff before, so it'll literally be the first time it's ever really been seen other than by myself really. But I thought I'd start with the very first stuff that I got, which was basically in the starter set. Now this literally would have been, I probably would have been back painting maybe 3 or 4 months maybe by the time I actually had got this and actually started painting it and sort of completed the sort of starter set. So I wouldn't say that these are the greatest things I've ever painted, but at the time, seeming I've never even had a 15mm figure ever. I mean, look, I did mention that I did used to play Space Marine back in my old GW days, you know, like Adeptus Mechanicus and all that sort of stuff. Epic scale, I suppose it was called. You know, paint wise they were pretty dire in comparison to even these guys, so I'll show you the American Contingent first. I've actually just had a guy pop off his base actually. I'll just put him back loose for now. I'll give you a quick look at them. Like I say, they're nothing super special. I decided to go to paint the airborne guys that came in the starter set as later war airborne, rather than that sort of toffee, deserty toffee khaki colour that the original airborne uniforms were. I think this is all the airborne that came in the starter set. The starter set was great value. Oh, there's the guy that's loose. I think I picked it up for like under £30, and it came with like all these airborne, a whole bunch of Germans, some Pack 75s, and or 75mm anti-tank guns, and a whole bunch of Shermans and Fireflies, and 3 Stugs. And of course a V2 as well, or V1 rather. So it was like a really good value. And okay, so I'll give you a sort of, I'll kind of run through these quite quickly, because like I say, they're nothing super special in my sort of opinion, but there's like the command group. At the time I thought that this sort of green colour was a lot better than painting them up as sort of D-Day colours. You can see that I've got the helmet identifications on the back for the officers and the NCOs, which the Americans used. Bazooka team. Here's a 30 cal. Like I say, I've never actually played Flames of War in any way whatsoever. I've watched many battle reports and stuff like that, but I've never actually taken the plunge into actually sitting down and playing a game. I've read the rules, I've got the rules upstairs many times, but I never took my fancy, to tell the truth. I didn't like the way the infantry were handled. It seemed to be very tank orientated, and I got to say that I think the infantry are like my favourite part of it. I think the infantry are great, and I really wanted them to have more of a role than they seem to have in the rules. I mean, I haven't played like the new rules, so I don't know how much they've changed, but we're talking like version, would it be version 2 or 3? I think is it 4 at the moment. I could be wrong, but yeah, it's never really appealed to me, which is a shame, because I think it had so much potential. And the last one there. Like I say, nothing super special, but I at the time I was really proud of them. So that's all the Americans. Let's go for. Oh, here's the anti-tank guns. Let's go for those next. So you got a couple of anti-tank guns in the box set. So let's quickly show you these. So there we go. I think they come out okay. Got the shells there, the ammo case. So that's one. And then the second one is pretty much exactly the same. So that's the 75s. Let's go for. Let's do the old the V1, is it? I was quite chuffed with the way this turned out actually. I decided to do the launching rail in a similar sort of camouflage scheme to the rest of the Germans, which I thought came out really cool. And then the V1 was actually it's really quite simple colours, but I gave it like a blue bottom, and I think it came out really cool actually in the end. So that's that. Next up, let's go for a whole bunch of Shermans of various types. Again, this was really like the first time I'd really painted any sort of tank models beyond my old school sort of modelling days. I've never really been a massive sort of, as a kid I was never really a massive tank person, you know, even scale model wise. I never really used to do any sort of airfix tanks or anything like that. I think I made a few matchbox like APCs and stuff like that when they used to do those little diorama model kits that were really cool. But other than a few Tamiya tanks, 135 scale, I'd never really done hardly any tank modelling before. So again, I was like really quite chuffed with how these turned out, even as rough as they are. I'll give you a sort of a closer look at some of them. So like here's one here. And I tried my best to sort of put some sort of fairly close to sort of the British markings, and of course I gave most of them sort of girls' names. So that's a Firefly, and here's like a Sherman. And yeah, I mean they're all pretty much the same, to tell the truth, so I won't bother going into too much detail on them. But you can see that I made aerials out of malted sprue for them, which looks pretty cool. So that is the tanks that came in the starter set. Like I say, it's really good value, that starter set. I was pretty damn chuffed with it, to tell the truth, for like the money that I paid. So I'll get rid of these tanks actually, and I'll bring in the German Stugs that came with Germans next. Oh, God, looks like one of my turret's magnets have come loose, so I need to stick that back down at some point. Okay, so these are the Stugs. here. So again, I was pretty chuffed with how these came out. Again, so I think I hand did the camouflage on these guys. I think they come out pretty cool actually. So that is the Stugs. Then last of all, for the starter set, we have the Germans. Now, again, I'll only show you a few of these because we don't want to take up too much time showing you just bog standard infantry. But again, I was pretty chuffed with how some of the Germans turned out as well, because, like I say, I'd never really painted any sort of World War II figures. Even in the days when I used to sort of play with 1/72 scale figures, I never really ever painted any. I was just me and my friend used to just play with them as they were, you know, unpainted. So it's like a command stand, I guess. And try and find one that's a little bit more unique. Yeah, here we go. This one's got some Zeltband Germans in, and a couple of camouflaged helmets as well. Again, I was like, at the time, I was really quite chuffed with how these guys came out. So that is the Germans. Next up, we'll start going on to the extra stuff when I started sort of collecting. We're going to start with a bunch of Panthers. Now these come from these are from Plastic Soldier Company, I believe, these particular Panthers. But I do have one Panzer Ace mixed in within them, and you can kind of tell that it's, because I've given it a slightly different paint job. This is the one that's the Panzer Ace. It's a resin and metal kit. I can't remember the actual Ace's name, but it came out really cool anyway. I think these all of these are actually airbrushed, and we're like the first things that I ever really airbrushed, to tell the truth. I literally just received my airbrush more or less around the time when I got these models. So these are like my experiment, really. I think they came out looking really cool. So he's kind of on his own because he's got a slightly different colour scheme to the others. But these are, like I say, all Plastic Soldier Company Panthers, which are, of course, a hell of a lot cheaper than the Battleground ones. And I was really quite impressed with them, to tell the truth. So yeah, that's the Panthers. And I am, again, at the time I was really quite proud of these. I thought they came out like absolutely amazing looking. So that's those. Next up, we'll go for some aircraft. While I'm clearing away Panthers at the same time. So we've got one of the things that again really sparked my my interests was the fact that they had aircraft models. Oh, how disappointed I was when you found out that the actual air rules are kind of a bit like bolt action in the fact that they're literally just glorified markers. But like I said, I've got a little bit of an Air Force here. We've got a Me 262 here, and this one is actually Battleground. Really quite cool model. I think it came out like really good actually. So that's Me 262, and here we have an observer aircraft, artillery observing aircraft. Pretty cool. Thunderbolt. These are actually a bit dusty, so excuse the layer of dust on them. Maybe I'll just get a brush and brush that off. Hold on. There we go. So this is the Thunderbolt. I did my own nose art on it. Quite cool. Rabid rabbit, which I thought came out quite cool. And I had to actually paint the sides on because for some reason the transfers that came with this were absolutely terrible. They basically like tore as soon as they came off the paper. However, the wing ones did survive, although I think some of those have got some cracks in as well, but I managed to save them. So that is the Thunderbolt, probably my second favourite aircraft of the ones that I painted. And then finally, probably my favourite, certainly in the way that it came out, is the F-190 Focke-Wulf, which I'm just going to give it a quick dust down, because again it's a little bit dusty. But I thought that when I finished this, I was like so happy. This came out like absolutely superb. I think I airbrushed it. It's in sort of like a two-tone grey. And I was really chuffed with how the cockpit came out on this as well. And if you look carefully, you can kind of make out the silhouette of the pilot in there, which was just like I just tried it as an experiment, and it seemed to work quite well. But yeah, this is like definitely probably one of my favourite of all the Flames of War stuff that I've painted. This came out particularly well. So that's that. Okay, next up we're going to some odds and sods. So we've got a couple of German trucks. We have a small platoon of Stuarts. We have a couple of half-tracks. And the Greyhound has lost its 50 cal by the looks of it. I just need to put it back on actually, but the Greyhound has lost its 50 cal, it's actually just fallen off. So that obviously does have a 50 cal, but it's just not stuck on. It's actually just come unglued by the looks of it. I don't think it's even like snapped. And then finally a couple of Jeeps, and I'll give you all a closer look at these. So you've got some German trucks, pretty basic stuff, but I thought they came out okay. So you've got a couple of those. These are official ones, so they're from Battleground, just hunks of resin. So that's the some German trucks. Next up we go for some Stuarts. So these Stuarts are Plastic Soldier Company again. I thought they came out really cool, even as basic as they are. So we've got one, second one here, and a third one, the command tank. Pretty cool. Again, Plastic Soldier Company, very, very cheap, and great little models. Like really cute looking, and like less than half the price of getting some resin ones. and you got 5 in the actual pack as well. In fact, I've actually still got 2 that I've built. Next up we go for the M8 Greyhound. Very, very basic. Nice little model. Like I say, the 50 cal's just fallen off. You can see the actual little peg hole there. It's not actually broken off, it's actually just fallen off. But cool little model. Turret does move, and it's got crew, which is always cool in my opinion. I think these are going to be the basis of a reconnaissance company, along with the Jeeps. So here we have a little Jeep, lovely dinky little model. Came out really cool. I love the fact it's got crew in it. Very basic, but just came out like really cool. Got one with the windscreen down. So that's that. And finally, the half tracks. These I believe are also Plastic Soldier Company. Again, really cool models. Came with crew and passengers. I think these are Plastic Soldier Company. They might be Battleground, you know. Thinking about it, I don't know. I can't tell. I'm not 100% sure. I'm kind of doubting myself now. So theoretically, these could be Battleground, but I mean they're all plastic, so I'd probably say at the time these could be Battleground or possibly Plastic Soldier Company. I'm not 100% sure, but they're great little models all the same. Like I say, I love things with crew and passengers. You can't, in my opinion, that can't be beaten. So that is over half now of the collection. And next up we'll go for there's basically some German winter infantry, some German winter airborne, and some artillery to go. So next up we have a 10.5cm artillery battery for the Germans. You can see that I actually still keep these guys in their little plastic box that they originally came in. These guys are painted relatively late into my Flames of War sort of painting period, and I was really happy with how they turned out. So let's just set them up. Get a couple of Kubel wagons, and you get various spotting teams and stuff like that, and you also get like a little command bunker as well, for putting near the battery. And then you actually have the batteries, the battery of guns themselves, which are all on like these cool sort of themed bases, and they look really quite cool. So there's another, and the final one, which is actually come unglued by the looks of it. So we'll just throw that in. Hold on 2 seconds. I think it's going to have to go that way. Yeah, there we go. So let's just put these out. Just move the camera slightly. So here's the zoom in on them. There's the guns. Really quite cool pieces, these, and I actually went in and actually put like real dirt and real flock grass, long sort of flocked grass on there, and it looks really cool. I was really chuffed with how these came out. So I won't bother showing you like every single gun, because obviously they're all more or less the same. But I am going to put them away to clear space. So that is the 10.5 centimetre howitzers. It looks like we lost a little bit of the gun there. So, sorry about this taking such a long time. It's deceptively time consuming. Okay, so just get these guys out of the way. And stick a few bits of sponge down. Okay. So that is the 10.5 centimetre artillery battery. Next up, we're going to go for some more infantry. We have some winter themed Germans and some winter themed airborne, which I believe are from like the Band of Brothers type set that you could get. Now I'm probably not going to be able to remember every character's name out of these, but I could remember some, and I might be able to have a guess at some of the others. This was basically a set that came out with all these sort of main characters from Band of Brothers that you could use within your airborne units, and I decided to do them on winter bases because I was thinking about perhaps doing the Ardennes, but obviously that kind of petered out. So let's see if we can find some people here. So I know this is obviously the medic, Eugene, was it Rowe? And quite cool. The injured guy on the snow. Of course, the red against the snow looks quite cool. So yeah, quite a cool little figure. One of these, his Spears. I know that's Spears. When he was doing his dash across the open ground when they were attacking that village. Very cool. I actually tried to sort of model like a row of bullets sort of churning up the ground, and you can kind of see them if you look really carefully, but obviously it just kind of peters into the snow base and you can't really see it. But that was the sort of the idea of it at the time. He's pretty cool. Let's see, who else? This guy could be another one of the officers. I'm not sure if it's Nixon or Winters. It could theoretically be both of them. And there's no chance of me being able to remember all the enlisted guys, but they're all there in some form or another, and there's even a couple of stands of just like normal airborne. But I was pretty chuffed with how these guys came out in the end. There's a radio guy there, so maybe that's Winters. No, that's an NCO. Okay, and just the last two. And that is them. Right, we're down to the last item now, which is basically a Panzer Grenadier company, but in winter gear. And this was really my first attempt at doing, other than just painting something white, doing their snow gear properly. I don't think I'll quite go into showing you all of them because it will obviously take quite a bit of time, but I can show you a few select stands. So, like here we have some I guess that's a Panzer Faust stand. You can see that they're a mixture of, some are in Zeltband, some are in normal gear, some have just got camouflaged helmets, and some have got like snow kit, full snow gear. And some just have camouflaged helmets. But I was very happy with how these guys turned out. And I think they could be the last things I painted before I kind of gave up. And here's a big chunk of them here. Again, similar sort of styles, of course. So like here we have a machine gun team. And here's a command, not a command, it's just a normal squad. Again with a nice little mixture of normal troops and snow troops. Here is there's a Panzerschreck team there, or Panzerfaust rather. And I'm trying to find a command stand. Maybe they're in the other box. No, it looks like these are the Panzerschrecks. You can see again like a mixture of just white helmets, as well as like, but actually none of these guys have actually got full snow gear on. There's those. I can't find any command teams. I'm sure there are. I'm sure they're mixed in here somewhere. This could be one actually. Yeah, I think this is one. There's one here. You can see the officer's got the camouflaged helmet rather than a snow helmet. And another one here. And you can see I've even put on the camouflage, the rank badge that the Germans used to have on their smocks. The little sort of black badge with the green, sort of like little leaves, weren't they, with various stripes. But yeah, so that's the end really. I mean, I could go, like I say, I could spend a lot more time showing you all similar sort of figures, but there's not really much point. So yeah, that's the end of this little collection. It was quite cool going through them again. I haven't really looked at them for a long time, and I hope you enjoyed them. So until next time. I'll catch you all later. Bye bye.